as we go through as being a coordinator, you got to have those core principles, right? Anything that you do, you have your core principles. Okay, for us and for me, the first one is the Aloha Spirit. I'm originally from Hawaii, born and raised, and I think the Aloha Spirit is something that is special to us, and we do it at San Jose State University, and especially in the offense. The first thing is having integrity, okay? Everything that we do, we're gonna do it to the best that we can, but also with principle, knowing right from wrong, because there's a lot of decisions that you gotta make throughout the season with young players, with young men, and also with grown men in the room, and how you're gonna do it is with integrity, okay? The second thing that we do is humility. Last year I was at Texas State with G.J. Kinney and Mac Leftwich, and those guys are about 10 to 15 years younger than I am, right? And so I was the oldest in the staff room I think I was 42 or 43 at the time. And talk about being humble, you have to humble yourself because there's always better ways to do it. And being able to learn things, I learned so much from those guys. Like I said, 10 years younger, 14 years younger, it didn't matter. Very smart guys. Offensively, how to build a roster, and it contributed to the success that we've had this year at San Jose State. But being able to be humble and learn from other guys, doesn't matter what age or where you're at, it's been great, okay? And having a passion, right? Having a passion for what you do, having a passion for who you work with, having a passion for the kids that you're around, and just really having a passion for life. And those things, those three things in the Aloha Spirit is huge in the way that we do things in our core principles, okay? The second thing is communication. These companies here are billion-dollar businesses, and it's all based of communication. So how we communicate with our players is important that we have great verbal skills. We talk about, positive language, right? How magnetic words. How are you going to go ahead and as a quarterback, get your offensive linemen on the same page, right? How are you going to have them play for you? With the receivers, what kind of communication you're going to have with the receivers, getting them out during summertime, 7-on-7s, getting them up early in the morning. All that sort of stuff is using positive language, positive words, things that are magnetic, that brings people together. Okay, the second thing is nonverbal. How do you sit in your seats, right? How do you interact with one another? Do you guys just go ahead and just handshake it? Or do you guys shake and hug, right? What does that nonverbal look like on a daily basis? So those are some things that we harp on. And the last one is same language. This past season at San Jose State, offensively, we had about 3 different coaches from 3 different places. One came in from the Miami Dolphins. Another one was the offensive coordinator at San Jose State before I got there, myself and a couple other guys. And when you talk about bringing a lot of different coaches into one room, right, there's a lot of different languages, different terms that you use. So the first few months was breaking down those languages, making sure we all spoke the same language, used the right words, and we're on the same page. Because if, as a staff, we're not on the same page, we're not communicating using the same words, all of a sudden the players get really, really confused, and it's hard to be successful that way. Okay, so communication is the second thing. And the third thing I learned from my dad, okay? My dad was in business. He was not a football coach, but the biggest thing he taught me and my brother at a young age is you shoot your shot. When you get that opportunity, you shoot your shot. And what that comes down to is, one, being confident, right? Through practice, through repetition, through experiences, you develop your confidence and you develop your way. Okay, the second thing is be decisive. There's so many different times in the moment in the game that, for instance, we played, I forget who we played, but it was the final drive, and it was 3rd down, and quarterback missed a couple of throws and decided to just change the quarterback, right in the middle of the series. And the thing was, it didn't look like what it's supposed to look like, was decisive, made a decision, and that quarterback was able to lead us down and get us the game-winning touchdown. So being confident, being decisive. And the third thing is having no regrets, right? That's the biggest thing. I think when it comes down to Sundays, after the game is done, you rewatch the film and having no regrets. I'd rather say, gosh, you know what? Man, we left it all on the field. We shot our shot, and we decided to do this, and we are aggressive, rather than on Sunday saying, I wish I would have been more aggressive. I wish I would have made this call. I wish I would have trusted the players a little bit more, right? So those are the 3 things: confident, decisive, and having no regrets, laying it on the line. Okay, so those are 3 principles. The responsibilities that I think for us at San Jose State, for myself as an offensive coordinator, the first one is lead. Okay, is leading young men and also leading the men in the building, okay, by giving direction, right? Whether it's plays, whether it's practice plan, whether it's attitude, whatever it is, every day having and giving direction, the kind of guys we're going to recruit, right? What are non-negotiable traits we're looking for in each position group, but being able to give direction and lead them, okay? The second thing is motivate. Student athletes nowadays, they don't come every day ready to go and take on the world and have the greatest practice for 2 hours when it's hot out or when it's cold out, right? So every day in pre-practice meetings, we show videos, and it's motivational videos. It could be about football, could be about basketball, could just be about just life in general, but just having some kind of motivation to go ahead and get these guys ready to play. And sometimes, guess what? It helps motivate me because, when it's Monday on, say, like, February, and it's cold out in some places you've been, you're like, gosh, man, it's pretty tough going to work right now with the snow out there or whatnot, but gosh, when you put these videos on, it motivates me and it motivates some of the guys in the room to be better, okay? And the third thing is accountable, right? Keeping everybody accountable, keeping yourself accountable, keeping coaches in the room accountable, but also keeping the players accountable. And I think when you're able to give direction, motivate, and hold everybody accountable and lead that way, you're going to get buy-in, okay? The second thing is love, okay? I don't think a lot of people say it as much in football. We don't say it enough. But that guy in the middle right there, Coach Ken Niumatalolo, he's all about love, all right? And it's easy when the head coach is all about that. And it goes down into us as coordinators. It goes into all the assistant coaches, and the players feel that. And it's not just, love like, hey, I love you, man. It's showing them love, right? So this picture on the top right-hand corner, this was during our bowl game, and we're fortunate enough, my wife and I, we have a house still back in Hawaii. And, we pick up the quarterbacks, and during the bowl week, one of the days, we take them to Waimanalo Beach. We show them, my favorite beach, our favorite beaches. We go ahead and play football with my son out there, and we're just talking about whatever. You know what I mean? We sit down. We were there for a few hours, sitting down, looking at the ocean. Looking at the ocean. We're looking at, just talking. Just like the coach that presented up here before I did. We just call it in Hawaii, talk story. We just talking story. Okay, then we go ahead and we bring them back to our house and we cook for them. And they get to see all the pictures of when I was a kid, maybe when I was in college, my son as a baby, and there's more talk, right? And I think when the players get to see you in a different light than just coaching, they start trusting a little bit more. They get to see where you're from. They get to see that love. And so that's a huge thing for us, and that's a huge thing for me. Okay, and the third thing is making tough decisions. I think, in this profession, especially as a coordinator, as a head coach, or whoever, even position coaches, you got to make tough decisions, right? Who are you going to recruit? Who are you going to retain? Who do you want to hire? What calls you want to make in critical moments? And I love this. It's the value is equal benefit over cost. Everything has a value. And I'm not talking about good or bad, like, man, this person just has this value. I'm talking about what do they bring? We have guys on our team, their greatest asset, their greatest value is that they promote love and a great atmosphere on our team. And those guys actually, they step on the field for us, right? Our guy, Seabass, who, was a walk-on at San Jose State, he was instrumental in Nick Nash's growth. He was instrumental in Emmett Brown's growth. He was instrumental in Walker Eget's growth. And so when you have guys that have that type of value, right, it's easy for us as an offensive unit to go forward and go through some critical moments. But at the same time, too, though, we got to make tough decisions to get in the bads. Okay, so those are certain things that we do, whether we're talking about philosophy and responsibilities. Okay, I think the biggest thing, too, as you become an offensive coordinator is having an offensive identity. I've been part of a lot of good and a lot of bad offenses. And so the one thing that's consistent, though, is when you have an offensive identity and you're not a jack of all trades, master of nothing, right? We have there's a ton of great plays out there, whether it's triple option, whether it's, run and shoot, air raid, whatever it is. But you got to have that identity, okay? And so for us, our identity is our style. Okay, it's fast, physical, intelligent, relentless. It doesn't matter. Like that's not the point. The point is we have a style of how we play. We have a style of how we live. We have a style. If we're going to go to class, we're going to go to class with this style right here. Okay, so we have a style of what we do. Okay, we have multiple tempos, right? We get in huddle, we get out of the huddle. We go no huddle. We go speed break quicks. We go look tempos. We go fastball tempos, whatever it is. But when you flip on the film, hopefully you see that we have multiple tempos. Okay? In our pass game and in the perimeter, we have these things called streak reads, we have choice reads, we have our double post combinations, and we have our nines. Okay? That's just our perimeter. That's what those guys are going to do. All right? For our O-line, we're going to use jump sets, we're going to use combos, we're going to practice against O-line or defensive line games and against the pressure. Okay, so that's another identity for us. We have RPOs, and we call them the ABCs of the RPOs. I've talked about this in the past, but it's A-level reads, B-level reads, C-level reads. So different reads, different levels in defenders of who we're reading, but that's what we're going to do. That's part of the fabric of our offense. And the last thing is we get the ball out quick. Okay, we get the ball out quick. We harp on the quarterbacks about understanding how to get the ball out quick. So with this said, when you look at the offensive identity, how we practice, okay, our practice plan, our games, when we come up with new wrinkles, when we come up with, say, new plays, we talk about anything offensively. If it has nothing to do with this right here, we're not going to do it. Because I believe there's only so much that you can practice week to week and even, month to month. Getting good from something in January that you put in all the way to December, it takes a lot of time and effort. But if you have an identity, you can always go back to what you got to do to be great. It gives us a chance to win the football game.